understanding. We're on a mission from God.
Well, good morning, good people. Mark Holmes, of course, here with my buddy Cowboy Jobu. What's up, Jobu? As well as Bucky Beaver. And we can't forget the Funky Chicken. And as always, I want to say thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Jobu Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. Hope you all are having a great day. It's hump day, and I hope you get over the hump. And week number 5 starts tomorrow. Is it me, or does it seem like everything is just literally flying by as far as the NFL season goes? We are a quarter of the way in. Well, almost a quarter now that we have 17 games, soon to be 18 games in the very near future. As far as I know, YouTube and NBC have not come to an agreement. So I will double check to see if that has happened. And of course, the government's shut down. So there's that as well. But I can guarantee you there will be football this weekend. The question will be will you be able to watch it on YouTube TV? And I can't answer that right now because I don't know. So as we get ready for this week, we're going to go ahead and talk about the rumors because, you know, whenever there's a rumor that somebody wants to get out or wants to go elsewhere, it's always the Dallas Cowboys are the ones that are the place that they always say that they need to go. Now, I might actually say with what has actually happened with the Dallas Cowboys, with George Pickens and Javonte Williams and things, that maybe that's a possibility, especially since they traded I can't. Wait a minute. We had a defensive end. What was his name? Michael Jordan. No, it wasn't Michael Jordan. No, it wasn't Michael Gallup. Oh, Micah Parsons. That's it. Yeah, Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons, we traded him to the Green Bay Packers and got a couple number ones. So there's a rumor being spread about me and the crew about Max Crosby wanting out of the Raiders. And the Raiders are not looking good. Geno is not looking great. The team, as always, is rebuilding. And so he's looking at it and saying, I want to go elsewhere. Now, here's the thing. The Raiders were proactive in getting him locked down, and they signed a 3-year extension for him in March. And unlike the Cowboys waiting or, and the Green Bay Packers, that's $47 million for Micah Parsons, Max Crosby is actually $35 million. $35 million a year is what his extension was, which had $91 million guarantees on his $106 million extension. As a matter of fact, I want to look at this real quick over the cap because most of his guaranteed money is done after next season. His cap number for this year is 38. Of course, if he were traded, he's already been paid some of that money because it's already been 5 weeks into the season. If he is traded, let me look at over the cap, traded post June 1st, they can actually get some cap relief, I believe. Traded June 1st, so it would be $33 million post June 1st minus what he's already been paid for this season. So you could actually get him for about 20-some million, $28, $29 million for the season. And then next year, his cap number would be 35 and then 29. That's a lot better than 47. And I dare say you could always restructure that if you did. Now, the question is, do the Cowboys want to do that kind of a move? Now, I don't know. I don't know if they do or not. They may look at this and say, boy, bringing in some people from outside, maybe we've been making a mistake of only believing in our own guys and that maybe, we get a ringer in here. Max Crosby would definitely help this defense. And he is $12 million a year less than Micah Parsons. So there's that you could look at and say, maybe that's not the bad move. The question would be are you then giving up your 2 number ones to bring in Max Crosby. And I'm not sure that Jerry Jones wants to give up those two number ones, although he has hinted a couple of times about having draft capital that, we got draft capital and stuff that we can use. Well, there you have it. I don't know if that'll happen or not, but, it's a possibility. And, of course, there's rumors. Whenever there's a big-name player out there, if you want people to read your stories, what do you do? You just put Dallas Cowboys in the mix, and that always will bring it around. So there's that. Alrighty, so I'm still amazed because I've got the Dan Saleo show today at 4:30. Dan gets all giddy now. He's doing happy dance and sending me text messages. Now the day before, brother, can please, can you be on? Can you be on, please? Because I think last week's show was more than Joy Taylor's show. I'm just going to put that out there, that we're getting more views on that program than Joy Taylor, than Jimmy Johnson, than any of the Eagles guys, Cobb or any of those guys. They want to see us. I don't know. They just do. But one of the things I want to point out, and it's funny because listening to Leo game day, I said, do you have a Saquon problem? I said, because Saquon is not getting it done this year right now. Saquon has 237 yards on 77 carries. He's got the second most amount of carries already, but he's only averaging 3.1 yards a carry. Oh, shit. Flip this, and this is behind the Eagles' offensive line. Now, what, of course, Birdstain said was, no, I'm not worried about that. It's scheme. It's scheme and blocking. They're not pulling. Okay. Well, whatever it is, all I know is 3.1 yards is not good. And when you have a second half where your quarterback doesn't complete a pass, that's not good. That's some offensive woes. Now, surprisingly, if I had said to you in the beginning of the season that Javonte Williams was going to average almost 2 yards more a carry through the first 4 weeks than Saquon Barkley, you would have said that I was truly on crack. But here we are on 63 carries, 312 yards, 5-yard average, has 4 rushing TDs. That, my friends, is one of the reasons why everybody keeps talking about, Dak Prescott, he's taking it to another level. Well, yes, he is. But it's not solely, because see, here's what people, want to always accuse me of. Oh, you'll never say anything bad about Dak. Dak is, everything. He's your boyfriend and this, that, and the other. He must be your illegitimate son or something because you always defend him. No, but you blame him too much and then you give him too much credit. All of football is a team sport. If I throw a pass and you tip it up and it becomes an interception, the quarterback gets blamed for that, even though it was the receiver who made the mistake. If a player ends up with an 80-yard touchdown, they'll talk about how great the player was who caught the football. Well, he didn't catch the football if it wasn't passed out there to him. It's all together as a team. So part of the reason why Dak Prescott is able to do what he's doing is because you actually have a threat of a running game. Javonte Williams has been hitting it. He has been phenomenal thus far. His 312 yards is twice what Zeke had last year, and we're only 4 games in. And when you have that balance, play action works. If you can't run the football, they're not putting 8 men in the box. They're not worried about play action. They're double covering your receivers. And when you have one receiver, like we did last year in CD, it don't work. But having legitimate people who can catch the football and also using Kayvon Turpin, which is, looking at this is, how stupid was Mike McCarthy not to use that guy? He is becoming a problem for defenses because of his speed and his size. And when you have to worry about George Pickens and when CeeDee Lamb comes back, and then you got Kayvon Turpin, and there's a running game, this is what I've always said years ago. It's amazing. I got to bring back things from years ago. But years ago, I used to say, death by 1,000 cuts. You don't know where it's coming from. And I believe in this game against the Packers, which had the number one scoring defense through the first 3 weeks, which is now 13th because the Cowboys scored a bunch of points. You went from number 1 to number 13 in 1 week because of what the Cowboys did to them. Dak Prescott hit, I believe, 8 different players with a catch. 8 different players. The thing about Dak Prescott is he will get the ball spread around. And I think there's it kind of like there's the Emmitt Smith. When Emmitt Smith rushed for 100 yards, the Cowboys basically won like 75% of their games. And the same is true when Dak Prescott hits like 6 or more of his players with catches. It's something ridiculous. And that's exactly what's happened because you can't cover everybody. You cover CD. Okay, we got George Pickens. You cover George Pickens. Jalen Tolbert ends up with the toe tap catch over there and stuff. You've got too many people to stop. You got Kayvon Turpin in there. You got a running game in there. Your head is on a swivel. Where's it coming from? And you can't stop it all. And Dak Prescott is on another level at being able to bait the guys, being able to take the pressure, and find the guy that's open. And that, my friends, is winning football. But the amazing thing is, that I'm going to focus on before I get out of here, is remember how it was doom and gloom, and everybody pretty much was saying that the Cowboys were going to regret bringing in George Pickens, and he's going to be a problem child. That they actually said that the Steelers called teams about trading for George Pickens, and they laughed and hung up the phone. I bet a lot of those teams, much like Shedeur Sanders, who turned down Baltimore and said, "Nah, I don't want to be behind Lamar Jackson," who's now hurt, looks back and say, "Damn, that was some stupid shit," because Lamar is hurt at least for 1 or 2 weeks, maybe longer. And Shedeur could have been starting. But I'm going to say that the move that the Steelers made might end up being one that's good for both teams. That sometimes players need a fresh start. And it seems like with DK Metcalf and Aaron Rodgers right now, they're good. Steelers are good. They're good. And it seems like George Pickens, he's happy. Jerry Jones talking about maybe, we really like him. And I have to say, as I pointed out yesterday, that we have a George Pickens problem. He's on pace for 1,275 yards, his best year of his career. The most touchdowns he's had in a season has been 5. He's got 4 already. And he has been everything that you want. Everything. People will say that first game, he wasn't going all out on his blocks and stuff, but that was the first game. Yeah. But it seems like since that time, right now, bro, he's been doing really good. Really, really good. And so Pat McAfee was still surprised. Of course, everybody else is like, oh, the Cowboys, they're idiots. They're the only ones that want to do this. Well, you look at it now and say, maybe it wasn't so bad. And I will have to say, now taking another look at the Micah Parsons move, I'm not going to say that we've won that trade, but I won't say that we've lost that trade. It might end up being great for both teams. But we've got money, we got draft capital, and we got no defense.
That just felt like too much TNT for me in one particular room when there's only one football on the field. I assumed GP was going to get traded. I know that there's a lot of teams that are very interested in George Pickens, so I assume that would be something that would be an easy move to get done. Now, allegedly, the Dallas Cowboys and the Pittsburgh Steelers started this conversation before the draft when Jerry Jones came out and said, I got a couple of substantive moves that I'm looking to make either before the draft, after the draft, maybe today, maybe tomorrow. And they go, what does that mean? Well, apparently what we have learned now is do things. Oh, Marcon, you ever heard of him? I got a big move. Has this been the plan all along for the Dallas Cowboys to bring in George Pickens? Has the plan been to move on from George Pickens? How long has that been the plan? There's so many more questions. But what I do know is George Pickens is a dog whenever he's on the field, when he wants to be. There's obviously clips and moments from his career thus far that are going to be questioned. And if he was to be playing like the way he plays in the NFL, in college, whenever he would be going through the draft, there'd be a lot of people nitpicking a lot of the decisions that he made on the field and things that he said and done off the field. With that being said, upside through every roof that you've ever seen. If you can get him to buy in, and if you can get him to love his team, and you can get him in an offense, Shoddy and the boys are going to have to figure that out down there with Dak. If you can get him an offense that he is going to do well in, he has the chance to be megastar. So I assume that the Steelers view this as a win because they're going to move in a different direction. And if I'm George Pickens, I think I'm pretty excited for a new start, fresh start as well, especially down there in Dallas. AP Tone, obviously diehard Pittsburgh Steelers fan, you thought it was going to be DK, GP, Freiermuth, even Warren in there. You thought that was going to be the case. I think a lot of people had hopes for that. I think in the building there was a decision on is this sustainable? Yes. Is this sustainable for 18 weeks, 17 games with the roller coaster that happens throughout a football season?
Yeah, I think my whole thing yesterday was that 2025 Steelers fan me was bummed out because, yes, I wanted to see all those guys play together. Was it going to work out? Who knows? It was going to be electric. It was going to be fireworks, whether it was good or bad. 2025 me was very excited to see this offense as a whole, potentially with Aaron throwing to these guys. 2026 and moving forward me thinks is a very smart move. They were never going to pay George. He's going into a contract year. This was his final year. They were never going to pay DK 30 and then pay George 25 to 30. And like you said, he was a first-round talent coming out. He fell to the second round because of some of the stuff that you've heard about George, about showing up late to games and stuff like that. I just don't think the Steelers organization wanted to deal with that anymore. Now, listen, the Steelers fan base was not happy at all yesterday about this. Now, if you looked at it with a level head, you could have been like I was 2026 moving forward. We're never gonna pay this guy. We're gonna get a third-round pick. We now have 12 picks going into the 2026 draft that is in Pittsburgh.
What he likes, he's not even on the Steelers. What he likes from a wide receiver is certainly something that George is not. So Aaron's going to want him to be operates, and whether or not it is still going to be a Pittsburgh Steeler for the long haul. Like, are we going to pay him to be a long one? Maybe we can get a couple pieces for this that can help our future. Yeah. Game wrecker. I'm happy to hear the Dallas Cowboys still have hope that is the case, and hopefully he'll be able to accomplish it. George Pickens is a Dallas Cowboy. Is this what Jerry Jones was referring to before the draft when he said, I'm up to something here? I got a little something going on. I'm thinking about two substantive trades or whatever it is. Substantive? Mm-hmm. Yep. Substantive trades. Maybe before the draft, maybe after the draft. Shit, I'm up next year. Who knows? There's something coming. I'm cooking it. That is what he was talking about this entire time. And when did the Steelers decide they were going to move on from George Pickens, you think, and send him anywhere, let alone to the Dallas Cowboys?
First, the Steelers are versatile. So they trade for DK Metcalf, obviously big trade, kind of beef up their receiving core. And, if you look at it, it's like teams rarely have two great receivers. It's hard, right? I mean, the Bengals do, but look at what it took for the Bengals to have those two and then pay both of them. Usually what teams do is they have one great one and other young ones or complementary, because it's like to allocate that much resources, it's a challenge. You can do it, but it's a challenge. And so it seems the Steelers wanted to hang on to George Pickens. They wanted to keep George Pickens, but there was a price where it's like, all right, at some point, this is worth it, right? Because if they weren't going to pay him, which by trading him, they made it clear they were not looking to pay this guy the extension price, then it's like, who were looking, since you're right, this was before the draft, actually thought this was going to get done before the draft. And I thought, because usually teams want to do it for the draft picks, then they make the draft picks, and then that's your trade. Didn't get done for whatever reason.
count the team. It's something you would have to monitor. We will as football fans. But if him and Dak get on the same page and he rolls down there as a Dallas Cowboy, which he might feel more comfortable as. Go ahead.
The whole thing is a little bit funny because Jerry Jones went and did the whole, like, I don't know, Micah Parsons' agent, and that's like.
That's when we'll get to this. That's when we'll get to football. And George Pickens has an opportunity here to change the trajectory of his career and his life. If you have one great season on prime time, 10, 11 times?
Yeah.
You have a chance to do it all. So I hope it works out for George. I hope it ends up working out for the Steelers there. George Pickens.
It's working out seemingly for both teams. All righty, good people, as always, I appreciate you. I got to get to work, man. I got to get to work. See you guys at 4:30, actually 4:20 for the Dan Saleo Show. I'm Mark Holmes, and you know, I got to get out of here. I got to get out of here.
I can't stand it anymore. I've got to get out of here. I've got to get out of here. Calm down. Get a hold of yourself.
Stewardess, please let me handle this.
I've got to get
Calm down. Now get back to your seat. I'll take care of this. Calm down. Calm down. Get a hold of yourself.
Doctor, you're one on the phone. Everything's going to be all right. Please.
Sister, please, I'll handle this.
I've got to get out of here.